so simple, but it isn't, and it's been catching these guys out. And if you can perform the perfect lead and the perfect chase, I think this weekend you're going to be the guy that stands on top of the podium, because there's a lot of guys, as experienced as they are, that just can't put all of that package together at once.
Yeah, a couple of numbers here for you, Ian. Over 150 kilometers an hour into the entry. They've got 9 zones that they need to hit, and we've seen up to 90 degrees of angle through some of these runs. And yeah, it's crazy we're even this far through with the least amount of carnage.
Exactly, and here we go. This is our road to the final, our top 16 playoff. It's going to be James Dean's take on Jason Benet. It's some big standout battles there. That is the one for me. I think James Dean is coming out here with new equipment, that refreshed mindset, but Jason Benet, a man that's been dominating in France, I think he's going to put it to him. You've got your pick. What is it, Jacob?
Yeah, Connor Falvey and Juha Puttalaxo. One, just
Come
Connor
here, little
Falvey
boy.
is able to kind of avenge Dave, bring the Drift Masters team back up, but also putting that all aside. Both drivers very, very aggressive all the way through their runs. Juha, we didn't get to see all of it. Connor already taking some damage, so Connor on the rise. Juha, he's the staple here. He's one of the most aggressive drivers. How's that going to match up against the amazing flow of Connor Falvey?
Well, Connor Falvey's coming this year. He comes as the rookie of 2024, and he said his only mindset is to improve the car, improve his driving style. And this year, not only does he want to get recognition for something, he wants to be the man on top. He wants a podium. He wants to get close to that championship final. Look, the time for talking is almost over. These guys are ready to rock and roll. The fans are ready. The judges are ready. The drivers are ready. And I hope you guys at home are ready, because it is almost time to kick off our top 16. Well, there we go. We're down at the back end of the circuit, and the action is ready to come off the line. It's going to be James Dean's take on Jason Benet. This was my pick for the most exciting battle of our top 16, because two guys that want it. They want it bad. James Dean sits in a car that's a little bit battered and bruised now after being brand new just a couple of days ago. He sits in there, cool, calm, and collected in a machine that he knows very, very well. But he sits alongside a man that has been dominating in France. Very technical driver, very fast, very experienced. Jason Benet here for Drift Masters 2025, a full season to prove himself as a driver. He slams that car into gear, but he's got a big task on his hands as he chases down a man that has more titles and more trophies than anyone else in their cabinet. They get the green light to go, they're through the gears, and the first battle of top 16 is off, and Dean fires in, puts that car right to the edge of the circuit. Benet can hang with him, but he has to shortcut a little bit. You can see that shallow angle as Dean goes wide, picks up the very outer limit of the track, but here comes Jason Benet as he sticks it to the door, gives Dean the room to maneuver as he now tries to tuck up on the inside. Benet goes for it. Benet puts it to the back bumper across the line.
Oh man, I was a little concerned at the beginning, because James Dean, although he did get a bye run, this is kind of the first set of battles he's seen since the incident. So you don't know how the car is going to be, but man, so fluid. The way he's able to transition the car around is just extra class. There's a reason why he is considered to be the greatest of all time, and we get to watch history on every single run that he puts down. But Jason Benet did not let up. When you're chasing behind James Dean, you know you put your pedal down and you steer the car through the rest of the track, because James Dean won't check up. He's not going to slow down. He's going to put it through the zone every single time. So the confidence that you have chasing James Dean is unmatched with any other driver. But James Dean, the way he sets the car up before he even gets into the zone, he's thinking 2 zones ahead at all times. It's like playing pool against somebody that's professional. They're not thinking about this shot. They're thinking about every shot down the line. As soon as James Dean comes off the line, that's what he's thinking about.
Exactly that, and you can tell that by the way James Dean drives, the way he positions the car. As you say, he's already thinking about the finish line. He's already thinking about a sip of the champagne on the podium.
He's tasting it.
That's how far ahead he is of most other drivers, where some drivers are thinking about the next turn, the next handbrake pull, the next downshift. He's already thinking, well, I need to be here. I need to point the car in this direction. I know exactly where I need to be. James Dean is a machine, and that's why he's got that nickname. Now he has to chase down a man that he doesn't know. He hasn't really got any information about. There's nothing in the database about Jason Benet. He's a brand new opportunity to this championship. But let me tell you something about this. He is a very good driver. He gets the thumbs up, but now he's got a big task. He's going to get that Mustang RTR. As they come off the line, it might be 900 horsepower, it might be 1,000 horsepower, but it's going to come down to one thing, and that's the person between the steering wheel and the pedals right now. As Jason Benet absolutely fires down, he goes nice and wide, flicks the car across the circuit. Dean there with him, matching the angle, and he'll blip of the foot as he works his way into the groove. Jason Benet not putting his foot wrong in the lead position at the moment. Gets that car wild into that outside.
that's all we're going to end up looking at for some of these is if you are not completely into that zone. Once we're in the top 16, just being I mean, not even, I was going to say 6 inches, but 10 centimeters away from where you need to be.
I like you getting into the metric
I
system.
got this, man. If you're 10 centimeters off that clip, that could be the entire run for you. At this point, Jason Banana direction, so you
Got him.
amazing job to be able to direct the path.
Come here.
Oh,
Oh, my little baby boy.
See that
Oh,
might
little baby
be easy
boy.
to miss, but that could be everything, that small correction. So you'll see as he comes through here, gets that wheel and takes a bit of angle out and has to add back in. This is what we talk about when you're trying to think further ahead, a couple of zones ahead, and that's why James Dean is as great as he is. But James does a good job of getting through the run and following it in. Jason Benet, though, solid lead run on that, punching well above his weight and driving well beyond his ears.
Certainly so, and there we go, guys out of the car, and even some Irish flags in the crowd supporting James Dean. Jason Benet leaves the helmet on. I think he knows he made a few mistakes. That was a tough battle. Slide of left from Benet, right for James Dean, and it's going to be James Dean, ladies and gentlemen, advancing through to the Grade A, and Jason Benet knew it straight away. That was going to be a tough battle, but what a contender. Keep your eyes on that Frenchman throughout 2025 because he's got a point to prove here at Drift Masters.
We will see him again. I guarantee it. There's going to be plenty more conversation around Jason Benet and what he's able to do on track. Yeah, this is just the start.
Yeah, certainly so. So, see James Dean there. I think he stalled it.
Oh, did he?
There was a malfunction, yeah.
He's not perfect.
He got out of the car and got back in. He had to reset quickly. Right, here we go. It doesn't stop getting heavier. Every single run of this top 16.
Ouch.
It's going to be Laurie Heinlein to
Okay,
take
let's
it
start it
over
over and over again.
Has been on the podium before. Can he do it again? Here's a big ask right now. Heinlein's on a flyer. He looks confident. No change in the car. He just nods to the cameraman. He said, thumbs up. I'm ready to rock and roll. It's business as usual for Laurie Heinlein. The Finnish driver sits alongside the Estonian of Oliver Randlew. And Randlew is in the zone. Look at this, fully focused. He's not messing around. He means business this weekend. The anti-lag fires as Randlew starts to creep, and he pulls away as Heinlein now fires through the gear. And look at this as they flick across. Randlew gets himself out of formation and makes a mistake on initiation, and it's business as usual for Laurie Heinlein. Sets himself up beautifully for outside zone 4, works his way down the hill and then back up. Now Randlew trying to find himself back into this fight, trying to gain some lost proximity. He's shallowing up the angle, cutting the circuit, and Heinlein looks rock steady.
Yeah, I think Randlew just mistimed things just a touch at the start, and this new procedure is changed up a little bit. Now you're running a light, there's no chicane, so that chase driver can roll a little bit more and time it a little bit better, but Randlew gets a little advantageous there, gets a bit off pace, and that ultimately meant that he needed to catch up. And the one driver you do not want to be playing catch up with is Laurie Heinlein, who does not look back, sets the car, gets through the track, one of the fastest drivers that we've seen all weekend, and shows all the signs of that here. What I did like, though, is Randlew did not panic.
No.
This is so key at this point. It's not over. Something could happen, something could change, and Oliver does a great job of not panicking, not taking as much angle out of the car as he needs to get back in the fight without zeroing out, because that's a very thin threshold between those two stages.
It certainly is a thin threshold, and we'll see some of our slow-mo shots as Laurie Heinlein looks out the window. Look at that cool look out the window as he just looks at that outside zone, like, got that one, now there's 2 more coming up, I know exactly where I need to be. It's rinse and repeat for Heinlein. He's almost driving a scale electrics, if you like, because it looks like that car literally goes exactly where it should do every single run, but now Randlew under some pressure, and he would have felt that in the car as a driver, but also been told that by his spotters.
Yeah, of course. He's going to have notes going into this and understand what he needs to do, which is going to be perfection, but that also means that Laurie Heinlein can chase as close as he wants.
Exactly, there we go. Heinlein would have been told, give him a little bit of room. There was some mistakes in that lead, but Heinlein now jumps into formation onto that back bumper, and he does give him the room to manoeuvre. As Heinlein doesn't want to make any mistakes, doesn't want to put himself in any danger, but he does a little bit there as he drops the wheel off the edge of the circuit, kicks up some dust, and now Randlew starts to pull away. Heinlein not really putting himself in the fight, and I think Heinlein panicked a little bit there. He shortcut the circuit massively. Randlew fires all these outside zones through the checklist and across the line.
Very interesting. It almost looked like there may have been some sort of mechanical there for Laurie, because he slowed down even more throughout that track. So once we get into this replay, we're going to be able to start looking for a few different things. Does the smoke disappear? With this in-car, was there a misshift? That could be the other part. I don't think so. I mean, the chance of Laurie Heinlein having a misshift is pretty slim. But yeah, he kind of gets gapped. Normally you would see him dive in at this point. He's but just does it. Very, very strange from Lauri Heinonen. But, I mean, Randaloo is the biggest fan of that right now. People do make mistakes. Champions make mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of separation there. It's not exactly what we expected from Lauri Heinonen. I mean, look, you know, we know these guys play very tactical games, giving the lead car some room if you think there's going to be a bit of a sway in the favour of your way. But you can see the little bit of panic coming through there in Lauri Heinenen's driving as he tries to dive through and shortcut those outside zones.
Yeah, just not able to make up the gap at any point in time, and almost looked like he struggled with the car. He was trying to take angle out. He was playing back and forth to really try and gain that proximity, but couldn't. So, I mean, it could come down to some sort of power issue. He's pointing.
He's pointing, yeah. So what's he got?
Axel?
Oh, has he got a D-bead? Oh, he's got a D-bead.
Wow.
So there we go. And I'll tell you when that happened, when he come into outside zone 4, I see the dust kick up there, and Heinonen dropped a wheel off the edge of the circuit. That gave him a D-bead, hence why he couldn't get through. And I'm also being told that James Dean's car is down to 6 cylinders for the runs. So James Dean won that battle on 6 cylinders. Fresh news coming from the paddock to my headset.
Now, I'm hoping that's not like a permanent 6 cylinder.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
They do have a full spare engine. I don't think there's enough time to make that swap. I have seen them. I mean, we even saw it yesterday where he was playing with spark plug wire, so maybe that's all it is. Let's hope that's all it is. But if anybody can figure out, it's going to be James Dean. Here's the thing, too. You're down 2 cylinders, and you have a lot of nitrous.
Hold that full. Slide them left for Heinonen, right for Randaloo, and I knew this was going to happen. It's going to be Oliver Randaloo, ladies and gentlemen, who takes it through to the top 6, the Grade 8. And I'm just going to quickly get clarification from the judges. The D-bead deemed him out of competition. Yeah, it's a unanimous nod. You can't complete the run on a D-bead. Oh, I mean, that is a big upset already for 2025. Lauri Heinenen's going to have to work hard for that championship to try and fight it back now. He's on a back foot as Dean moves forward in Grade 8. Becky's down with him.
Obviously not what you wanted to happen there, but it looks like you've obviously got a DB. Can you tell us exactly where it happened?
Yeah, my own fault. I went wide on the going on the 4th clip on the braking. So yeah, nothing we can do. It was just slippery from there on.
Well, I'm sure we'll see you in Finland next time. It's been a pleasure having you here this weekend, Lauri. Thank you so much.
Wow, and look at that dejection from Lauri Heinonen, our defending champion. Look, I mean, look, the problem is you make that own mistake yourself.
Yep.
There's no one else to blame. And he knew. I see the little whisper of dust pop in the air, and I was like, oh, he's got a wheel off track. I didn't realise it was such a harsh bump there. Took the wheel off the tyre. Here we go. The tyre off the wheel, sorry. We're getting there. I'm learning about these cars. Right, we're back on the line. It's going to be Jack Shanahan to take on Oran Nielsen. And we could see down there a little shot into the Shanahan's paddock. Everyone crowded around. All the Irish together there watching Shanahan. Look at him. He looks cool, calm and collected. Nod of the head. He's ready to go. Oran Nielsen, laser focused.
You can see the breathing, trying to keep himself calm, the big deep breaths, nice and slow, getting in the zone, just full focus before going against one of the most exciting drivers that we have on grid in Jack Shanahan. I can't imagine what's going on through Oran Nielsen's mind right now, because like you know what you're going against.
Yeah, I mean,
it's exciting in a lot of ways, but scary in others.
Very scary. I mean, look, we're going to have to try and get Lauri Heinenen's car off track. I'm not sure what's going on here now as well. I do believe he's got maybe a breakdown, or the tyre is bound up on the suspension and he can't move it. So we will have a few moments while we try and recover Lauri Heinenen's car off the track. I mean, look, for Oran Nielsen, he knows Jack is going to drive 110%. So as a chase car first, you can push as hard as you can.
Yep.
But then there's that limit. We spoke about it earlier. We touched on it quite a lot. You can overdrive the car. You can go into that place where Nakamura went, where you drive so hard that you end up knocking yourself out of competition and putting yourself at
Yeah, it's such a fine line right now, and as we've been talking about, the track does evolve over time. More rubber goes down, the temperature changes. We're going to start getting to a point later today, too, where the temperature comes down, and the track is going to change yet again, and it can get even crazier. So nothing is constant in drifting. Everything is always evolving, the surface, and it is amazing when you think about all the variables that they have to deal with every day. The fact that they're able to get so close to these zones and other cars repeatedly over and over and over again, it just gives a testament to how incredible these athletes are.
Yeah, it certainly does. And do you know, for me, you see him at the end of an event and you say, like, how you feeling? They're like, I'm mentally drained. And you can see it because all they're thinking about every single moment of the day is what to do, where to pull the handbrake, where to kick the clutch, where to position the car. And not only is it physically draining being in the car, and here we go, look, see that little whisper of dust, and that's when the D-beat happens.
Interesting. And that's it, and you can see him fall further and further back through the rest of the run. Yeah, car just not able to bite in at all. And look at the fighting he's doing in the driver compartment. Oh, so frustrating. And these drivers know almost in the moment exactly what has happened to that car.
Yeah, exactly that. So there we go. Laurie Heinen gets removed from the circuit, and our guys are allowed to rewarm their tyres.
Just a quick scrub to get the temperature back into them.
Yeah, and they will pull to the line. Interesting to see that no one's played a game yet of the higher qualifier switching position, which is a new rule for 2025. The higher qualifier can choose whether they lead or chase.
Yep.
Now in top 32 all the way through to the final. Jack Shanahan sticking to what he knows, and we found that a lot of the older drivers in the game will stick to what they know. That, you know, it's been the method for many, many years, but a lot of the younger guys are opting to switch it up every now and then, which is interesting.
Yeah, Uran Nielsen, again, we've seen this a few times.
Positioning
the car on an angle so they can just shoot in right behind Jack Shanahan. It's just interesting, the little things that you start to pick up and the driving habits. I love it.
Well, there we go. We get a thumbs up from both sides. We wait for the light to go green, and it does. And Shanahan jumps off the line. Uran Nielsen in chase as he now falls into formation. They both clutch kick in to that first outside zone, and Nielsen on to the back bumper at GT86 already as Jack Shanahan now locks up the handbrake. Look at that, perfectly into the outside zone, and that's opened the door for Nielsen, and it opens the door massively as he tags the rear wheel, almost pushes Shanahan through that outside zone. Nielsen back on the hunt again, back on the rear wheel across the line. Wow.
Oh, another one. We're just getting kicked off too. I mean, we're not going to have much energy or voice left by the time this is done if these drivers keep driving this way. Jack Shanahan, I feel like a broken record, but doing exactly what he always does, aggressive and fast and gets to the track. But Uran Nielsen timing things and really trying to figure out when his moment is. You can see how much handbrake he's putting in, and that's just getting the car closer, able to push the car in a little bit wider. You can see just how close he is to Jack Shanahan through this run, nosing that giant soarer in, and then they flick back out, and there's Uran Nielsen punching through the smoke. Jack getting a little bit ahead of him, but Nielsen gets on the throttle, gets back into the pocket, and finishes really, really strong when they come through this inside clip. Great proximity and adds that bit of angle, and they come across the line. Great job from both drivers. Uran Nielsen, I mean, uphill battle with driving against somebody like a Jack Shanahan, didn't shake him at all. Wasn't concerned.
No, he wasn't concerned. And like I say, I think that, again, I think it plays into some of these guys' favours, knowing that you're driving against someone that can drive so hard and so well on that qualifying line. Remember, Shanahan qualifying way up there, 4th yesterday. He was in the qualifying showdown battles. This is a man that, once he's in the zone, once he's comfortable in the car, there's no stopping him.
Yeah, and he's looking very comfortable. You can tell when a driver's struggling to adapt or there's a change that they don't like. I think they set this, forgot it, and he's just been driving his race the whole time.
Yeah, there we go. Second half of the battle underway. Nielsen to lead out Shanahan. Shanahan now jumps to the back bumper of that Sora as Uran Nielsen puts foot to floor, unleashes all of the power from that 2JZ underneath the bonnet. Shanahan matches the angle though as they go into outside zone 4. A little wide for Uran Nielsen though as he puts a wheel over. Shanahan makes a dive, tags the side of that car on the rear wheel as they fire down into this inside zone. Can Shanahan take a bite out the back of that car once again? He certainly tries to.
Yeah, both drivers adapting well. Uran Nielsen pushing a little bit wide there through outside zone 4, and it looked like Jack Shanahan wanted to kind of go in with him. That instinct of like, I need to chase, I need to get close, but was able to quell that just long enough to make sure that Uran Nielsen didn't hit the wall, but Jack was still there right on him as they see this launch here, and that nice initiation from Uran Nielsen as they come through that first outside zone. Now pushing out nice and wide, sorry, third outside zone, but here, Nielsen right on the edge, just about dipped wide there, but able to keep one tire on. I mean, it looks way closer to it because of how long the back end is on the Sora. But Jack Shanahan didn't take the bait, didn't go in fishing with him, stayed back just a little bit to make sure that Uran was able to finish his run, and he didn't get dragged into the wall with him. But great job from both drivers. This is also how you beat a Jack Shanahan, is you have to push a little bit harder than he's going to. You almost have to not bait him, but just go, I'm going to go this far. Are you willing to party for you?
And that's the thing, I think Oren Nielsen asked the question of Shanahan, do you want to go this fast?
Yeah.
Can you go this fast? Can you throw this angle? And,
Yeah.
and you lead them into a full sense of security almost.
Well, and you can create a mistake that way. You can, as a lead driver, you're predicting the pace, you're setting it, sorry, and in the chase, you kind of have to predict ahead of time what they're going to end up doing. And Udo Nielsen's been running this line. It's not all that different, so Jack would have known. He's going to push hard, he's going to push wide, and that car is scary quick as well. So great run from both of them. Both of them took good notes and learned from each other, and I mean, you can see it here, just the respect, the discussion, like big smiles. They had fun. They had fun in that run, and isn't that all that matters?
That's all that matters. Well, I mean, look, we always have fun. We have fun all the time. Sometimes these guys not so much.
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
Here we go, decision dropping in from the judges. Who's it going to be? Yeah, I see this one coming all the way from the beginning. It's going to be a one more time, ladies and gentlemen. Jack Shanahan and Oren Nielsen have got to get it done again. And yeah, Jack Shanahan lets out. Woo! There was no separating it. A few mistakes from both guys. Probably would like to see him closer throughout the run with proximity. That's probably what the judges are leaning towards. But other than that, two nice lead lines. Just lacking a little bit of proximity throughout the run. Those dives want to stay there, really.
Yeah, just clean up, a little bit of cleanup, that's it. But that's how you learn is make a couple of small mistakes, correct them for the next run. The hard part is going to be it's going to be even tougher to judge on their next battle.
Yeah, it certainly will be. There we go. We go back to the start line. It's going to be Connor Shanahan's take on Alexei Olovnia as he sits on the line. Two GT86s, two power plants that are identical, almost two similar power figures. This now, the machinery the same, comes down to just the driver.
Yeah, this is a true head-to-head battle here when you have that, and it makes for great tandem.
It certainly does. Well, two guys that have been driving for a long time. Shanahan, the 2023 Drift Masters champion, maybe a little bit more experienced, but Olovnia been around the block a few times, that's for sure. And look at that, it shows as Olovnia almost goes door to door and angle to angle as they fire through. Olovnia transitions before Shanahan in the outside zone. Olovnia seems to be losing a little ground as Shanahan on an absolute fire as they fire into outside zone 7. Olovnia once again loses some ground, now starts to make it back across the line.
Olovnia played it a little bit safe in a few spots, and Connor Shanahan was able to really lay down a solid lead run that went wide in a lot of zones. Not in a bad way though, just very deep, especially through 4. And Olovnia didn't want to get in that deep. Got a little worried. It's tough too because the way that Shanahan hucks it into a lot of these zones, it's so violent and quick that it can look like he's about to spin out. It looks like he's going to shoot off track, but he's able to save it at the last minute. But Connor, good job here setting things up when they come to that inside clip on number 8. And Olovnia, safe run, maybe not the best idea, but still got around the track, still had decent proximity. That's one of those runs you lay down and you hope that the chase driver, when you swap it around, that the chase driver ends up making a mistake.
Shanahan instantly in the mirror there across the line. You see that on the onboard, looking to see where Olovnia was.
Well, you want to know. It's that last impression, like, okay, we're done. Where are you?
Where are you? Yeah. Did you make it through the run?
Yeah.
That's probably what.
Could you hang?
Yeah. Could you hang with me? Look at that, two GT86. Like we say, this is coming down to just driver on driver right now. Cast it up.
Yeah, and there's going to be some strategy involved. There always is, but yeah, it really comes down to who's got better instincts and who's willing to push harder, because both chassis are going to do the same thing.
Exactly that. So these guys made their way back down to the back end of the paddock. They'll spin them around. I'm going to go back to the start line. Olovnia now to lead out Shanahan, as Shanahan looks comfortable in the car. Looks like he's got a lot on his mind, though, a lot of thinking. The spotters will be in his ear saying, look, you're going to have to push. This is not going to be an easy battle. Olovnia's going to give you everything you need as a chase driver. He's going to give you all the tools. And what can you do? He looks across for the line as Alexei Olovnia now sits on the line. The Ukrainian driver leads out. Connor Shanahan from Ireland. They fire through the gears. Look at this. Shanahan on the bumper, closer than Olovnia on initiation. Nothing separating these two guys at the moment as they fire through. Good transition from both of them as Olovnia leads him into outside zone 4. Nice line from the Ukrainian, but look at this from Shanahan. He shallows up the angle and noses in front of that GT86 into the door of Olovnia's GT86. A little wobble there from Olovnia, but he gets through it. Final outside zone, door to door.
Solid run from both drivers. Olovnia did exactly what he needed to do in there in the lead. Very similar to what we saw with the Jack Shanahan run. Tried to just go as wide as possible through these zones, throw as much angle and as much speed, and just turn everything up to 11 and hope that Connor Shanahan makes some sort of strange mistake in the chase. But that is not a Connor Shanahan move, to make a mistake like that. But it does happen. Nobody is perfect. We've seen that plenty of times already. But in this case, I mean, I really like the way that Connor played his hand with this. Knew that Olovnia was going to huck like this, that he was going to drive really hard, and made the appropriate decisions. Little bit of a gap there, but dives in, doesn't make anything too crazy, takes that line a little bit too tight in the chase, but that's what you need to do. That's what you're allowed to do. And both drivers really laying it down. This might be a really long night for us.
That's what I said. I said clear your diary for Monday, because I mean, we're going to be here Monday night finishing off this.
Changing my flight as we speak.
There we go, the nice slow-mo shots as the guys jump out of the cars and wave to the crowd. And a little sigh of relief, I think, there for Conor Shanahan. He's like, it's so close. He has no idea. Holovny is like, oh, I wish I could win this battle.
Yeah, I mean, this would be a massive feather in his cap, for sure.
For sure.
I mean, anytime you take down a Shanahan, that's a big deal.
Here we go. Who's it going to be? Conor Shanahan on the left, Alexei Holovny on the right. One for Shanahan. There we go. Conor Shanahan gets the win, advances through to the Grade A. Alexei Holovny, look, he's still happy. That was an incredible battle, a nice lead and chase. But yeah, that opens up the door to the question, if the one more time battle goes in favour of Jack Shanahan, well, he'll be facing off against Conor in the Grade A.
No, who's leading too far.
Look at this.
Yeah,
Jack Shanahan watching the screen in the Shanahan pit saying, this is not how we plan things to go, but this is what might just have to happen.
And you were telling me that I was looking too far in advance. You're 2 battles ahead.
Can't help it. All right, listen, it's top 16 now. I can do what I want.
Okay, all right, everything out the window. I got it.
Right, here we go. Pontus Hartmann finally gets a battle on his way. He got a bye run in that top 32 because unfortunately Piotr Wojciech not able to make competition. He now faces off against Ite Seda, who's looking strong this weekend.
Yeah, this will be a great battle, and we talked about this before with the drivers who got the bye run. You don't have a lot of battle tests. You've been sitting on ice for a really long time.
Well, technically, Ite didn't get a battle either because Marco Zaccarou bent those steering arms in the tyre warming area. He still did get the bye run, so did Pontus. But for me, Ite Seda in this new car, this new 2 Series, looking so strong.
Good point. Good point.
Well, there we go. It's time to find out who has got what it takes as they come off the line. It will be Pontus Hartmann to chase down Ite Seda. 2 BMWs, 2 similar power plants. And what have they got? They throw down. Look at this from Ite Seda already on the throttle. Big flick to initiation as he fires down now. Scrubs some speed. A little shallow on the entry to outside zone 4. Pontus Hartmann has to shallow up the angle. Almost got it wrong there and got himself into the wall. He's now losing ground on the young man as Ite Seda puts foot to floor, gets that final outside zone across the line.
Yeah, Ite Seda, I mean, spooked me a little bit going into 4, just the way he entered in a little bit late in that triangular line that we talked about that can be very dangerous when it comes to this track. So coming in late and then goes a bit wide, that could have been his entire weekend there. But able to pull that off, get back into the battle. But yeah, I mean, Pontus Hartmann just not able to get into the fight. I'm not sure why. Everything looked pretty good at the run-up, and then Ite Seda just took off, and that was it for Pontus Hartmann, who basically became a spectator behind him for a lot of the run.
Yeah, he certainly did, and you know what? It was almost front row seats there to the view of how good that 2 Series looks as it flies around the circuit in Spain, because Ite Seda was up and gone. There was no catching that young man, but now we have to swap him around, and as Ite Seda, he's got the tools in the tool bag to slow that car down. You can see he's dialed a lot of grip into it. It's very fast, but Pontus Hartmann's a quarter of speed down.
Yeah.
So now he has to try and balance that behind Pontus Hartmann, who probably isn't on the same sort of grip or pace that Ite is.
Yeah, that's the hard part when you are chasing a slower driver, is you still need to drive at their pace. So you're going to have to pull things back. You may not have geared for the speed that they're going for, so you might be in between gears. It becomes very difficult, and I'm not saying that this is by any means a winning strategy just to drive a bit slower, but it is something that both drivers need to keep into account here, as Pontus Hartmann now taking the lead, and Ite Seda now needs to slow things down.
Yes, certainly so. So here we go, on the line, ready to rock and roll. We're waiting for the thumbs up from our start line. Marshall, Marcin down there, Pontus Hartmann eager to go. Now the anti-lag kicks in as the green light is shown, and they are off and through the gears. And look at Ite Seda as he looks for the back bumper of that BMW 46. A big clutch kick from Pontus Hartmann. He tries as much as he can to avoid, but he can't get away. And he's trying to shortcut the circuit, and now look where that's put Ite Seda way out of formation. Hartmann up into the wall, and Ite Seda gets himself back into the final tag onto the door from Ite Seda. He's still coming into this one swinging, but that was a big mistake from both drivers. I'll be interested to see how the judges see that.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. There's going to be a lot of notes that need to be gone through, and I expect a lot of replays we're going to have to look over here, because both drivers having a roller coaster of a run as they came into this. So yeah, Pontus Hartman missing that zone completely, just straight line through, and that amount of speed created a huge issue as he gets really close to the wall. Probably, I think he got the bumper into it. You can see just holding on for dear life, just making sure that everything's going to work. And I think his visor dropped halfway through that run as well. But Pontus Hartman, just too much speed.
Yeah.
Just knowing that the car, something's going on with the car, whether it's a setup or a mechanical issue. But Ite Sede should have chilled out a little bit. Now, I understand he's on a much tighter line here, but if we look back earlier in the run, I believe that's because Pontus Hartman basically missed an entire zone.
I was just going to say, he's kind of led Ite Sede out away from that zone.
Yeah.
So Ite's in the middle of the circuit, trying to transition, trying to find a line. Doesn't really know what Pontus Hartman's doing. I think that's why he ended up way down on outside zone 4. Pontus Hartman, I think he realizes there was a big mistake there. He kicked the clutch, the car just didn't react. And I can kind of see how this one's going to play into it. There we go. It's going to be Ite Sede getting the win, advancing through to the Great 8. Unfortunately for Pontus Hartman, his weekend ends there, but he knows he's still happy. And he said that, you know, being in the top 32, even advancing through the top 32, qualifying alone is enough, and puts a big smile on that Swedish man's face.
Yeah, it's so cool to see. And listen, for some drivers, just getting into the top 32 is their win.
Yeah.
Just making it to the track sometimes is a win. There's so many stories we never get to hear about, as we see.
Well, so we
Connor
haven't
Falvey.
had anything over the headset, but we see Connor Falvey on the line. So I am being told that the 2-minute clock has been activated. There we go, as the breeze picks up here in Spain. That block nearly taken away, our Red Bull start line nearly flying off. But the clock is counting down, and there we go. We see Juha Poitalaxco. He does make it into the tyre warming area. I thought that we were going to see another bye run.
Yeah, you know what? I really didn't want to.
No.
I'm here for head-to-head battles, not for bye runs. But yeah, Juha Poitalaxco able to get the car going.
So apparently he got a puncture on the way to the grid. He had to go back to the pits, change the tyre, go back out, and then warm again. How is that for messing up a driver's mental state?
Well, and for both of them, even, I mean, Connor, it's going to be, it's just a, oh, I think I got a buy. Oh, no, you don't.
No, you
back
don't.
in the zone.
Yeah, exactly that. Well, Connor Falvey, the higher qualifier, sits in that lead position as Juha Poitalaxco gets ready to rock and roll. You can see him pressing the button for the anti-lag. He's going to need all of that because this young man from Ireland is going to be on an absolute flyer as Juha Poitalaxco is going to hunt him down. I'm getting so much drama in through information going on. We'll get back to that in a minute. We're going to get this battle underway first. Look at this, though, from Poitalaxco. He knows that Falvey's fast, and he's now jumping the start. He's waiting for Falvey to initiate as Falvey throws that carbon Kevlar S15, and he's not wrong. Falvey is fast. The carbon Kevlar can barely hold on as a young man from Ireland puts that rear wheel into the outside zone. He's up and gone, and Poitalaxco needs to do something right now. He needs to dive. He needs to make a move because Falvey makes a big mistake, stalls up, and has to get himself back into it.
That was strange from basically the roll. Since this battle began, things just went back and forth and got really weird. I mean, Poitalaxco coming up to the line late and then leading Connor Falvey out of the box and getting ahead of him. And then because of that, Connor Falvey able to shoot past Poitalaxco and get into a really demanding lead here, and then starting to wash a little bit wide as Juha having to make up a ton of ground. And Connor Falvey looked amazing through most of this run, and then this is where things get strange. Cuts that outside zone a little bit short, and then the inside zone, things get weird, shoves it into gear, and then gets back on it. But look at the correction. You can see that. He should not be turning the wheel that way.
No, I think he caught a load of understeer when he downshifted. He went to put,
right
yeah,
there.
look, caught understeer straight away.
So really tough, and yeah, just a small mistake there from Connor Falvey. I don't think, man, I don't think that's enough to consider a straightening. I could be wrong.
Look,
I hope it's not.
You've got to kind of look at this in the judges' you know, sense of view as well. That there was a lack of proximity and the shortcut of the track for Juha Poitalaxco. Does that now equalise out the mistake from Connor Falvey?
Yeah.
Are we sitting with a situation where both guys are sitting with almost similar amount of points going through, and you see down there the team, they're just cooling down the car. You look at this, Bagsy down on the grid, cooling down Connor Falvey's car. And this is drifting. This is the camaraderie we have. Bagsy knocked out a competition. He said, look, weekend's not over for me. I'm in Spain. I'm going to help out wherever I can. And he's down on the grid, probably giving Connor Falvey some advice, helping him out, chilling him out in the pits, saying to him, calm down, you've got this. And there, he's down there helping and cool down that Carbon Kevlar S15 as we await Falvey to get back to the start line. Don't forget, we do have a 2-minute clock running, so they have 2 minutes to get back to the start line once that clock is activated. And we know he's going to make it because he's only a few feet away.
Yeah, I mean, talk about having great drivers helping you out through this whole thing. Connor Falvey's got a big advantage that way.
Exactly that. Yeah, he's got a whole wealth of knowledge behind him, pushing him along. This is going to get interesting right now as Juha Poitolasco comes off the line in that lead position. Connor Falvey to give chase. Oh, look at this. Aggression already as Poitolasco fires the back end of that BMW in the face of Connor Falvey. And Connor Falvey now trying to make a dive. He's on the hammering for a long while. And now he jumps into it. Look at Falvey, aggressive. But has to stall up massively. This is scrappy from both guys. Love to see what the judges are thinking on this one as Falvey goes to make another move on Juha Poitolasco, and he goes for the back bumper across the line.
Yeah, very, very interesting there. There's a lot of things that happen. It all happens very, very quick. I mean, we've got a runtime of, what, 26 seconds or something like that. You got to remember how much drama can happen in, you know, half a minute or less. But look at how calm Connor Falvey is throughout this entire run. He's got his hand on the e-brake, ready to go just in case Juha really gets into that zone, but kind of late, and then shoots out a bit early, trying to gap. That's that triangular movement that we talked about before, where it's a bit jagged, it's not curved. Look, I can't get over how calm Connor Falvey is throughout this entire thing. Just huge pupils staring him down, trying to see what's going on, but Juha Poitolasco, not a stable run. Very fast, very aggressive, but not smooth. I know we don't judge on smooth, but smooth will mean you can hit all the zones correctly, and it's much easier to chase. There's a point where something becomes unchaseable. Don't think that's the case here.
And now you've, you know, brought it to everyone's attention. That line from Juha Poitolasco in outside zone 4 is bang on the money, because he did get into it and then kind of shot out of it. When the car gripped up, he kind of fell out. Interested to see what way this one swings as Poitolasco takes a look at the back of his car. Whether he's worried about tyres or damage, one or the other. Connor Falvey can't wait for the decision to come in. But here we go. Is it going to be Poitolasco on the left, Connor Falvey on the right? One vote for Connor Falvey. It's going to be Connor Falvey. Connor Falvey gets the win, advances through to the Grade A. Another step forward. Juha Poitolasco quite dejected there, and we're going to go to David Kalas real quick. David, that was a tough one.
Yeah, it definitely was. Like, after the first run, we thought that Juha is completely having it, because we saw a big mistake from Connor in the last corner. The front just slipped. It was not taken like straightening, because the car was still sideways, but it was a big mistake. But then they switched, and Juha unfortunately showed us that he's able to do even bigger mistakes in his lead run, as he was going into the no-go zone in inner zone 2, which is taking like wheel off, and then continuing with other small mistakes and bigger mistakes. So his lead was actually even worse than Connor's. So then goes through.
Well, there we go, Connor Falvey taking a step forward in competition. He's looking good. The Irish fans are loving it. I think there's plenty of people back in Ireland that are loving it. Look, Connor Falvey, the Rookie of the Year last year, already making moves in 2025. Becky's with him right now.
Connor, congratulations, you're into top 8. And if I'm correct, this is the first you've ever got in competition at Drift Masters. That must feel absolutely amazing for you.
Oh, it feels amazing. It feels like all the hard work paid off. There's been so much commitments made over the off season. My parents put so much into me, so I can't thank them enough, and I can't thank Drift Games enough as well. You have no idea how much it means to me. I'm just delighted.
How many laps of this track did you actually do on the sim? I heard there was a lot of times that you practiced this.
Yeah, there was too many hours, about 55 hours I put into it, so I'm working very hard, and yeah, just hopefully we can get further now.
Congratulations, Connor. There you have it, guys.
Thanks, Becky. Yeah, there we go. A man, look, very humble for a young man, and look, so, you know, grateful for every opportunity he's been given. And that was a tough battle for him. Understeering that last outside zone, a scrappy lead to try and chase. Look, we move it along to the next battle in our top 16. It's going to be Juha Rintanen to take on David Spossop. Spossop getting that win over Naoki Nakamura with contact in that last outside zone across the line. He's very, very happy he's got into the top 16. He's going up against a steely competitor this weekend.
Driver's seen some contact, so hopefully the cars are ready to go and there's no mechanics. We'll get a really nice heads-up battle.
Yeah, I'm sure we can. Rintanen must be in the right mindset that he said he wasn't in yesterday for qualifying, as he now snaps through the gears and stares down the back of that purple S15. They fire in, and look at this, it's awesome. No messing around. down. He knows he's got Rittenen hot in pursuit, and that's a big mistake from Juha Rittenen. He went for the transition way too early, and now Rittenen makes a big mistake. He's down on the inside. He has to try and get himself back in formation, back on the side of the Polishman's X15. As Spossum finds that inner zone, looks for the final one across the line.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic mistake there from Juha Rittenen. Just timing, just one Mississippi off, just barely outside of what it was.
Mississippi.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, hey, we'll use anything to measure, but
look at this.
Yeah,
I think Rittenen, sorry to jump in there, I think he come down the inside and caught himself off because Spossum was going to transition and he knew he was going to make contact with the lead car.
No, it was a good move for Rittenen to fall back there, but ultimately what it means is he's that much further back when the transition happens and just not able to really make sure he fulfilled all of outside zone 4. We'll get back in the fight for the rest of the run, though. I mean, once we get into 6, 7, 8, 9, things look fairly good there for Juha Rittenen, but Spossum does a really good job out front. Solid, good lead, through all the zones. Just nothing exciting in the best possible. Really good and almost no-nos. That's a solid lead.
Yeah, when the little box in the judges' thing is empty,
yeah,
you could just go,
yeah,
it was good.
The best notes are no-notes. Yeah, yeah, and Spossum, that's what that was. So not dramatic, which means he hit all of his marks, but Juha Rittenen just a little bit of a mistiming.
Maybe, will he go hard on the chase? He's going to jump off the line early, that's for sure. They get the green light to go. Will be Spossum to chase down Juha Rittenen. Rittenen smokes the tyres already, a big clutch kicker. Look at this, Rittenen up the wall. That car's ripped up to the max. And he fires through. Spossum not bothered though, just going to stick to that qualifying line. They both get to outside zone 4. Spossum into the wall though, goes too deep and throws the battle away as Rittenen thunders down the track as the anti-lag rattles around the building. Across the line goes Rittenen and Spossum buried in the wall.
Yeah, I mean, Juha Rittenen has this thing wicked up. Thankfully we're seeing Spossum get out of the car. He's all right. I mean, somebody who was frustrated by a bit of contact earlier on with Naoki Nakamura, not going to be much happier about this type of contact.
No, he's certainly not. And you know what? I think that was maybe a little bit of panic setting in there for David Spossum when he see Rittenen getting outside zone 4 and kind of dig in and start to drive away. He thought, I need to make the dive.
Yeah.
Look at Rittenen though, absolutely focused.
And you can see just the amount of force that's on that driver as they slouch over to one side getting into that initiation. But Juha looks good. Spossum just a little bit too wide. Almost like he's adding in a touch too much throttle, and the car breaks free more than he was hoping for. Actually, he's coming in with a lot of momentum, and this is where these different camera angles will tell a different story. So from one way, it almost looks like, he just adds a bit more throttle. In this case, he was coming in too quick, and the car just did not dig out of that zone.
I mean, look, as a driver, they all say, when you see that lead car starting to drive away, you start to panic. You start to think, where can I make up some ground? And I think for me, Spossum was like, I need to gun this into that outside zone and try and make a dive. Unfortunately, he couldn't pull it off because as soon as he got into that outside zone, the car got a little loose. He washed wide, put it into the wall, and look at Rittenen. He's got a smile on his face already. Decision's in. Juha Rittenen will get the win. Judges deeming David Spossum's incident independent. It was all his own mistake. So Rittenen gets the win, advances through to the Great 8, and he'll be very happy with that. Look at that, a man that yesterday couldn't get his head in the game. Now, well, he's body, car, soul, the whole lot is in the game.
Yeah, and a little bit of luck came with that. I think if Spossum was able to get around the run and not have any major issues, that was his to take home. But that little bit of panic, and this is what ends up happening. And when we talk about drivers pulling veteran moves, unfortunately, this wasn't a veteran move. This was that panic that he wasn't able to subside when Juha started to pull a bit of a lead. He got on throttle, really tried to pick up that speed and close the gap, and the timing just wasn't quite there for Spossum. But you do it once and you learn from it.
Yeah, you certainly do, and that wall taking a few prisoners this weekend, that's for sure. As we've seen a few of these guys taking it to the wall, contact, I think it's a fine line. A lot of these drivers use that wall as a reference to where they need to put the back bumper, but at this event, the wall is away from the wall. Becky's down there with Juha Rittenen. He must be on top of the world, Becky.
Well, congratulations, Juha Rittenen. You're through to our top 8. What does it feel like to be back on the grid for Drift Masters in 2025?
Very excited.
You have a bad reverberation down here, I understand.
Yeah, Yeah, everything's good. Car is working awesome, so it's great to be back.
How was qualifying yesterday for you? Because I know that there was a little wobble there, not your usual performance.
Yeah, I've had this thing that I'm practically doing very good at practice. When it's qualifying, I don't know what's going on.
That's very natural. A lot of drivers are like that. You know, practice, it's all fun, and then suddenly when it comes down to the line at qualifying, it gets a little bit more nervous for you.
Yeah, well, I should have the experience by now, but apparently not.
So last season wasn't amazing for you guys. The year before was actually a lot better. Did you make some changes to the car or your program to come back in 2025 super strong?
Well, our biggest change for this year is that we built a new car, and it looks exactly the same like this. We're still about to shake it down, but we should drive it in finish round. And this car is going to ship straight to Ireland.
Brilliant. And you have a lot of Finnish fans here. Is there anything you'd like to say in Finnish to the people that have come all the way out here to support you and online?
Sure. Kiitos kaikki suomalaiset, kun kierrätte näitä kisoja. Merkkaa ihan hirveästi meille kuljettajille. Kiitos.
Thank you so much, Johan. Congratulations. You're on to the Great 8. Oh.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so, shout out to these Finnish fans out there, and you can see it meant a lot to them guys, that recognition. They, as I say, you've been watching Drift Masters for the last few years now. You'll recognise that these Finnish Drift fans travel all around Europe with us, and this is how our road to the final is looking at the moment. James Dean will face off against Oliver Randalou. We've got Connor Shanahan. Who will he battle? Will he battle his brother, or will it be Oran Nilsson? That is yet to be decided. We have a one more time battle coming up for that. Then Ite Sidder will take on Connor Falvey. The two young Drift Masters will go face off in that Great 8, and then Juha Ritinen will face either Pavel Korbolinski or Kevin Purcell. We'll get off this fan.
Congratulations. Anything you'd like to say?
Going to ship straight.
So either Pavel Korbolinski or Kevin Purcell. We'll get to that battle once we get the track cleaned up and the cars off and the wall repaired. It's getting hot and heavy. These guys are starting to work it out there now. And the guys that have got it figured out, I think they're going to be the guys that put on these extremely clean chases.
Yeah, and really at any point in time, any of these drivers could be taking home this win. Everybody is on it. A few drivers had some luck that have come through in order to get them through the bracket, but let's be serious. A lot of drifting is luck, is getting those pairings. You know, you might get a bye, you might have a driver that spins up behind you, but the consistency is what's going to end up getting you through into the top classes. But once we're in the Final Four, it's not consistency anymore. It is who is willing to put